Hi everyone, thanks for joining this Webex. Today we're going to be talking about addressing the challenge of maintaining software compliance. So we'll dive straight in. Here is Sally. Sally's from procurement. Sally has just helped her organization sign a new seven-figure deal for software that's going to be vital in making sure the business is successful. Everybody in the organization is thrilled with the purchase and the deal that they've got, but Sally's got concerns. And those concerns are, in the past, her organization has had problems with managing licenses in agreements like this, be it perpetual or SaaS. Inevitably, it ends in overspend. Sometimes the software that they buy gets used too much, or it's used in the wrong way, and it causes non-compliance problems. This brings unexpected cost at renewal time, or worse, it's found in audit and costs the company a lot of money. She'd really like to avoid that problem. Other times the software is underutilized and the organization don't get the full value from the investment that they've made into that product. She really does not want to have that problem. And last month, she found out that one of the purchases they made, they didn't actually need to do because they had more than enough spare licenses from previous purchases as such that they didn't need to buy that product. She really hates this problem. They already have SAM tools in place, and SAM tools are great. The SAM tool that they have and the SAM team they have do an excellent job at finding the problems after they happen, but it's always after the fact. Sally doesn't want to find problems anymore. She wants no problems. So if we look at the issues of why these things have happened in the past, from a non-compliance point of view, we know it is always comes down to over deployment, ignored license restrictions, incorrect architecture, incorrect license types being bought, user mismanagement, and from a under usage point of view, not really getting the best value from the licenses, under deploying them, buying too many, actually not having the visibility to make sure that we're buying the right amount of licenses that we need, not using the contract benefits effectively, such as substitution rights, and generally just buying the wrong products, buying things the organization doesn't require. Now, if we look at really the root cause of what's going on with these issues, we can really tie this back to the software lifecycle. And this passes through 5 stages through select, order, install, manage, and retire. And if we think about what software asset management is actually about, it's not about finding license issues after they happen. It's about creating a set of processes and governance in the organization to ensure that as software is purchased, deployed, used, managed, maintained, and disposed, the processes are there to ensure that everything happens as it should. Now, if we look at what we do as software asset management professionals, we really manage the left-hand side of this picture. Once the software is being deployed, it might have been deployed 10 years ago, 1 year ago, it might have been deployed yesterday. It's already been deployed. We're retrospectively finding the issues after they happen by managing this activity with a software asset management tool. Now, the rest of the organization is using projects to bring in expensive enterprise software and new SaaS solutions and bringing them into the company. So what's really happening here is that as we're identifying the problems that have been created in the past and we're looking backwards, the rest of the organization is looking forward. So the sourcing team, procurement, finance, IT, vendor, everyone else is looking forward. They're installing new software. They're making sure that the company gets what it needs, but it's doing so as it creates new compliance issues. And that's because the software asset management team should be helping to support these people, but it's not because it's retrospectively looking back all the time. So really how this plays out and how organizations kind of feel the pain of this is that they might invest in software asset management, and in the first day they think they have a risk, they go and buy some software asset management tools and they help get the full visibility of the problem, which is often worse than we originally thought. Then a project will take place to get that product compliant. So we're short 500 licenses. We've come up with a way to mitigate that risk, and now we're compliant, and we've actually got a little bit more licenses than we need, and we've had a great first year. We had a problem, we identified the full problem, we remediated it, and now we're compliant. What happens in year 2 is that the root cause still remains and the problem starts to return. And this is where most software asset management programs start to fall over, because they've sold the business, we've solved the Oracle problem, we've solved the IBM problem, and then a year or two later the problem's back and they lose credibility within the organization because they didn't resolve the root cause of non-compliance. So if we bring back the software lifecycle and we bring in all of the other teams that help support this cycle, what we can really start to think about is, we're on the left-hand side, we have here the SAM tools that are helping us identify the problems. But actually, as the software is coming into the organization, as we select software, we have to make sure the license designs are right. If we're not buying software strategically, we could end up with duplication and a host of whole other issues in this space. But just really deciding what software we should be using, we can create issues right from the start. As we're buying software, we can buy the wrong terms and conditions, wrong license counts. We can get unfavorable terms and conditions. We can buy new software instead of using existing software we've already got on the shelf. And this leads to unbudgeted renewals. We have no control over new SaaS applications coming into the organizations, which creates unexpected spend, and again, a whole host of other issues in this space. And then as we're actually deploying the software, we're ignoring license restrictions, we're deploying to overpowered machines, we're making unapproved changes. The people who are actually deploying this and setting up these applications are unaware of the terms and conditions and the restrictions in the agreements that we've just signed. So they are unable to help us actually prevent these issues. So by the time this comes around to us in our SAM tools, it's too late. All we can do is identify the problem that's happened and mitigate it. So this whole approach is reactive, and this reactive license management approach is a gamble, because what we can do is identify the problems and put those fires out when we see them, but we never know what's going to come down the line. We never know what risk is going to come next and come and hit us out of left field. So really what I'm going to get to is being proactive, is proactive software governance. We need to support the business and help identify and prevent issues much earlier in the software cycle so that we can help maintain compliance permanently. So this is our view of how we need to help this, is that actually our software asset management governance, our IT asset management governance, supports the whole life cycle from start to finish. So we're helping the organization ensure that they get license designs correct, that buying products with our support, we're avoiding buying duplicate functionality, and we're aligning our software selection with the strategy of the organization. As we buy software, that we get the right amount of licenses, that we avoid unfavorable terms and conditions, that we buy the right license types and the correct amount, and that we do use our spare licenses over buying new. And then as we install software, we're letting the people know who actually are installing the software, what the restrictions are, how it should be set up and installed, and we validate that post-install. So this whole process then puts us in a position to understand what's coming in our organization, what the impact is, and the chance to make sure that we create no compliance problems or overspend. So the common proactive pitfalls around this are that people use process diagrams. So here's a software request process. We're going to build this in a Visio flow diagram. We work with the organization to say what that should look like. We build it on Visio, we put it in SharePoint, and everybody ignores it for the rest of the time. This is one of the most common pitfalls that organizations do. Governance without enforcement does not work. Also using ticketing tools. So ServiceNow, for example, is a way to request Oracle database licenses. Great in theory that it's open and it's easy to get to, but the simple yes-no governance does not fit in the requirements of actually what we need to do to ensure that the people involved in the whole process ensure they know what to buy, how to deploy that, and that we get visibility of what they're going to do with that license and database deployment downstream so we can validate it. So, really what we have to imagine is that the software that is quite cheap, the desktop software in your organization, that can be in these tools, that can be in a simple yes-no approval model for requesting software. But the expensive stuff, the enterprise software, the thing that's probably taking up 60% of your enterprise spend, these big 7-figure software deals that we've got, these are your most expensive software assets. These need to be under lock and key with effective governance to ensure that nobody can misuse these things. And finally, that a lot of people try to do this manually, and that if you do actually get the buy-in to work with the projects and the rest of the organization, and you do this manually, having 100 projects a year in your company is not uncommon, and actually wanting those guys to engage with you 4 or 5 times through the project lifecycle, and they need 4 or 5 different products. How you capture all of that information, where you put all of that detail, and how you use that, that's one of the things that actually makes this process fail, because it's such a manual effort to bring all of this together, and the team falls over from a resource point of view because it's slowing all of the projects down. So if we come back to Sally, her organization, who signed this huge 7-figure deal, she's now happy. They've got proactive governance over the software contract, and that's given her confidence that they can stay compliant and get the best value from her contract. She knows that the SAM team now works with projects to ensure that source and procurement and IT are aware of licensing impacts and preventing compliance problems from happening. They predict the contract future usage based on demand. They know what's been used in the contract today. They know what's going to be used in the future. They know the value of software being used in that agreement and how much is remaining. They're also able to use contract terms such as substitution, flexible licensing proactively with these. They're getting the full benefit of this contract. So what are the benefits of proactive SAM as a whole? We stop unexpected spend, we get the best value from your existing software, and we drive down costs on new software. And these are really the benefits of proactive SAM, proactive IT asset management, and software governance as a whole. So Astute, we help customers achieve this. We make it simple for you to create this software governance model that can control the most expensive software in your organization to ensure that you have no compliance problems again. We do that with our software governance model. So as you can see here, as organizations request software, as projects request software from within your organization, we put them through a concept, planned, order, deploy, and validate model, so that we ensure that they do everything that they should do to make sure we get the visibility required to ensure that we can get this right from the start. And that's really the point, is that we're getting this right from the start and not allowing these problems to be created. This is our IBM ELA dashboard contract manager. So we can see here that we've got a £7 million contract. We've used 3 million of value already. We're predicting to use 5 million. Now, if we take a look at actually how that works within the tool, we can see the contract manager module. We click into the IBM agreement. We can see we've got all of the detail here about what's being used, where it's being used today, what's going to be predicted to use in the future, and how much value we're getting from that contract. And this really it lets us know that we've got control of this agreement. We also then have the request engine. So this is where somebody will come into the tool. Here's my Oracle project. Here's the software that I need. We can see they've got 3 items of software. Some have passed through the whole concept plan, purchase, and deploy stage already. The second item is just a concept so far. The database license is still planned. This helps us predict what we need in the future and ensure that the projects are telling us exactly what they need and that they get the exact right license counts as they go. So if we take a look at that, how that looks, we can see we've got the ability to have chat functionality within the tool. We can record what software, what hardware, stakeholders, and project files. Here we can see this is about to be approved. It's a concept stage. They need 8 licenses. We're making sure we've got all the licensing gotchas signed off, and that we're taking the licenses from our Oracle contract, and now that's been approved. So you can see it's really simple to actually allocate licenses and work on these requests in a nice, simple, consolidated way. So thank you for the time today coming to join this WebEx. I hope you found this useful. Please drop me an email if you'd like to follow up with some more conversation and questions around this.